Heaven sent.
When looking back on the days of my youth, I sometimes like to reminisce on just how mysterious the world of gaming had once felt. With the internet being in its infant stages at that time, gathering info on a game could be a bit tricky. So if the info we were looking for couldn't be found in a magazine or on networks such as G4, we would often resort to our fellow man for the answers we searched for. Back when online message boards were our digital concourse for all things gaming related, we would use these avenues for spreading knowledge, but sometimes these discussions would evolve into something a bit more interesting. Now, I'm sure all of you have memorized some sort of urban legend from your childhood, as it's usually these kinds of stories that are just strange enough to stick with us for a lifetime. So pairing the infinite curiosity, lack of resources, and an incredible amount of imagination, plenty of strange rumors within gaming began to take shape. And with an affinity for diving into the unexpected, I thought it would be fun to revisit some of the most memorable urban legends in gaming that I could recall. And whether we're taking a hands-on look for ourselves or just uncovering those already debunked, please join us on an exploration into the unknown. So get ready to fire up another pot of coffee and tuck in for a late night at the office as we explore the urban legends of 2000's gaming. There's something in the woods. That was a quote from a Rockstar employee when asked about the many strange phenomena being reported in San Andreas. Now, it's no secret that the GTA series has been home to many of gaming's most infamous urban legends. You've got the Leatherface sightings of Panopticon, the ghost of CJ's mother, and of course, the elusive Bigfoot. These myths were on the brains of just about any gamer at the time of San Andreas' release, and with most of these rumors spreading like wildfire in both forums and classrooms across the globe, the myth-busting community quickly took action on tracking down these mysterious happenings. But were they really happening at all? Well, for the most part, a good deal of them were proven to be false. But what did they mean by "there's something in the woods"? A statement that both sent a chill up my spine as well as intrigued me to learn more. So with that in mind, I took to the countryside and scoured for what I believed to be a murderer on the loose. A murderer who I later found to be labeled as the Killer Cowboy. September 9th, 2025. For many of you that have played a fair bit of San Andreas, you will probably recognize the familiar face of our suspected madman. He can be spotted throughout many areas around the city, but there's one certain location in the game that is scarce to see any signs of life. There's a bridge under an overpass connecting Shady Creek's Tobacco Beyond, near a bed of water known as Ghost Lake. At this lake, there have been many cryptid sightings and other strange happenings such as ghost cars or random sounds being heard. It is said that in this very same area, a man that identifies as the Killer Cowboy will attack players unprovoked. And if you're not careful, you may just become his next victim. We arrived on the scene after a long drive to the countryside. It wasn't yet dark, and I took advantage of the storms to hopefully find some clues undetected. After making a few laps around the area of his supposed whereabouts, I stumbled across some pretty interesting things. First off, there appeared to be some sort of strange cabin sitting abandoned near the bridge. I quickly searched it for any clues, but came up with nothing as far as evidence of any crimes. I chalked it up to just another weird building that could be found in-game, but could it have been the killer's hideouts? The rain was really coming down, so I decided to hop off my quad and commandeer yet another topless vehicle. You know, that way I could still get poured on at even higher speeds. My tank top was soaked, and my dark green denim were giving me a rash, but we just couldn't let that stop us from cracking this case. Besides, it's often been said that the killer likes to come out in the nightly fog, so after this rain settled, I just had a feeling he would be out lurking somewhere nearby. I continued searching the surrounding area until I stumbled upon a slew of abandoned vehicles. They were all heavily damaged and placed in some unsettling locations. The vehicles just reeked of foul play, as I could only imagine what sort of horrors would cause a person to leave their vehicle in such a state. Could they belong to the victims of the killer, or could they be the result of something even stranger? Well, it definitely got more weird. At approximately midnight, I was making my rounds and listening to the in-game talk radio station, WCTR, when all of a sudden, I heard something a bit shocking being said by one of the station's callers. Just listen for yourself.
Hello, Julie from Liberty City. You're on the line.
A cowboy ghost has been haunting my house! A cowboy ghost has been haunting my house!
Oof, a cowboy ghost? She states that a cowboy ghost has been haunting her house. Could it have been just a coincidence? Well, I was ready to chalk it up to that, until what happened shortly after. At approximately 1 a.m., I stumbled upon a suspicious vehicle located near the Whetstone Bridge. It was a blue pickup truck that was in pretty decent shape, especially compared to the other vehicles that were found around. But what intrigued/spooked me the most about this truck was that it contained what looked to be a propane tank and a steel drum in the truck's bed. Now the propane tank I can sort of look past. Maybe this person just wanted to do a little grilling. But the steel drum, I really had to question. Throughout history, it's been found that many famous killers have used steel drums in the disposal of their victims. Could this be the very same case? And their supposed infatuation with grilling could even be another way for them to rid some evidence. You know what I'm saying? No signs of the killer had yet to take place, but just when we were getting ready to wrap things up for the night and call in the search, at approximately 7:19 in-game, we spotted something very unsettling. Couldn't believe what I was seeing. Just some random destroyed vehicle rolling around these desolate backwoods. And it made me think about the earlier radio station call with the supposed claims of a ghost cowboy. Could this be the work of something supernatural, or was the killer just toying with me? It was hard to say, but I wasn't ready to give up on my search just yet. Since the sun was coming up, I figured we would head back out into the nighttime, and with some heavy fog in the forecast, I figured it would be a prime moment to hopefully capture the suspect at large. So we called in the troops and headed back that night for another go at it. At 9 p.m. in-game time, we arrived on the scene. The bridge and all of its surroundings were covered in a heavy mist. The silence was deafening, and I couldn't help but to feel as though I was being watched. I traveled about the area, this time on foot, hoping to lure the killer cowboy out from his hiding spot. And it was not long after that we finally got a break in the case. We finally found him. I couldn't believe it. It was him standing there before me, rocket launcher in hand, and a thirst for blood that beckoned to be satiated. I froze in both fear and amazement, hoping to get a better look at this madman. But as you could see, it was actually what ended our investigation. For all that we know, the killer cowboy is still out there, stalking his victims and leaving clues of them scattered about the San Andreas countryside. But as for the legend of this fabled madman, it looks as though it's very much true. So the next time you find yourself alone on the San Andreas countryside, don't stop at the bridge of both Shady Creeks and back up beyond, because you might just end up like me, the cowboy's next cup of human chowder. Ah man, do I miss the days in which the secrets in a game just felt endless. Like back when GTA 3 had first launched, being that I was only a young lad at the time, my parents had forbidden me to play it. But I was able to convince them to rent GTA 2 on the PlayStation since it was rated T for teens. Now this game was notoriously designed to use a top-down view, as were all of the previous GTA games up to that point. But a certain kid at my school had spread this rumor that you could use a hidden cheat code that would unlock the game in full 3D, just like GTA 3 was. and when all the other strict parented children like myself got wind of this rumor, we were all going nuts trying to figure out how to make it work. But I bring that story up because it's a great example as to how a lot of the rumors in gaming had began. Usually it would start with something that players would desire in their game, and there's nothing more that hormone-riddled gamers of the 90s had desired more than to see Lara Croft in her birthday suit. That's right, folks, the good old Noob Code legend of 96. Oh, how the time flies. But what were the origins of this supposed legend, and was it even true? Well, let's find out. One of the first documented accounts of the Nude Code came from a 1997 issue of the UK gaming magazine known as Computer and Video Games. I know, clever branding, right? In which they did a small spread on the alleged code. The headline reading, "Hot Scoop, Naughty Nude Code in Tomb Raider," followed by the subhead text stating, "Yes, there is a code to play as a totally nude Lara Croft. We didn't believe it either. But having tried this sensational cheat, we know it works, and boy is it steamy." Diving further into the article, it goes on to say, and I quote, "The information revealed to us by an anonymous source, who we can't name for their own safety, works on all versions of the game. But don't take our word for it, try the cheat for yourself." Okay, here's how you do it. First, enlist the help of a friend. Begin a game, and at any point, get them to tap out a rhythm on the second joypad. Use the X button on PlayStation, B on Saturn, and PC owners have to push their joystick rhythmically left and right. It's tricky to get the beat right, but we found using the first verse of the Spice Girls tune, "Wannabe" as a guide, works perfectly. While they're doing this, you have to make Lara dance to the beat. Sidestepping left and right works fine, but adding tumbles and jumps speeds up the process. After roughly 2 minutes, disco lights will appear, and Lara starts dancing by herself. Then the screen goes black, and when she reappears, she's completely starkers. While Lara is nude, none of the enemies attack her, obviously to help with the programmers walk through the levels. Instead, the wolves howl when she runs past, the gorillas beat their chest, and the T-Rex even claps. I mean, in all honesty, I probably would have taken this article's word for it, especially since back then, that was one of our primary ways to get any gaming news. But in their next issue, they went on to admit that the entire article was nothing more than an April Fool's gag, and that the code was just a myth. But as many of you in present day are acquainted with the world of modding our games on PC, they were doing the same with Miss Croft back in '97. The first explicit mod of Lara could be dated back to a fan website known as Nude Raider, where they had posted many screenshots showcasing the female protagonist in a variety of explicit poses. When the development team's operations director, Adrian Smith, was asked about this mod, he actually had a few choice words. Most of the Tomb Raider websites are unofficial, but they do ask questions directly to us and are a great source of information. However, we are concerned with the use of naked Lara pictures which are appearing on some of the sites. We find the use of such material damaging and offensive, and are currently seeking legal advice to prevent further use of this material. While I couldn't find any information on whether or not an actual lawsuit had ever taken place, it's just kind of funny to see how much trouble this rumor had began to cause in the industry. And what's even funnier is to think about how bizarre this cheat code even was. I mean, dancing to the beat of the Spice Girls? That's nuts. It just goes to show you how imaginative and wacky the world of gaming could be back at that time. But it wasn't the only time that a gaming related rumor would get out of hand. So for our next and final piece of this episode, I'd like to present you all with one of the most intriguing tales of an urban legend I've ever found in gaming. A tale in which the lines between obsession and connection became entirely blurred. So without further ado, let's begin. November 23rd, 2004. It was a day just like any other. As many were nestling into bed after a long day of school or work, over 200,000 gaming enthusiasts were taking their first steps into the mythical world of Azeroth. Or, in other words, it was the release of World of Warcraft. Good old WoW. This is a game that I've been playing since a very young age, and it wasn't the need to grind levels or late night dungeons that had me so hooked. What interested me most about this game was the fact that its world had felt so mysterious. You had separate continents to traverse, a plethora of major cities to explore, and tons of little nooks and crannies to satiate even the most adventurous of gamer. But the sheer size and detail that can be found in the majority of in-game locations really left a lot to the imagination. I had spent countless hours scouring every crevice of this game's world, and even to this day, I find myself returning to find new things. But with such a massive world being encompassed in the game, it always left you with the feeling that there just had to be more than meets the eye. One certain topic that had always piqued my interest was the presence of a hidden area, known as GM Island. This mysterious place was said to be located in an unmapped area between the main continent, northwest of Kalimdor, and was only meant to be accessible to fellow game masters / Blizzard employees. Many players had speculated that the island could be reached if a player swam out to sea long enough, came upon the wall of fatigue, followed it to a point in which it could somehow be surpassed, and after a very long swim, a small island would eventually come into view. Now the island itself is rumored to be quite small, sporting a single building, some massive trees, and a quaint little graveyard right beside it. But just from that description alone, it didn't seem like much. But the rumored purpose behind this island is what left many curious explorers intrigued to see it for themselves. Many rumored that it was a place for GMs to hold meetings and talk about upcoming changes in the game. Some even speculated there were rare items to loot, and even a dungeon meant for unruly players to be punished or imprisoned inside of. This dungeon in question had piqued my interest the most, as it was described to be a massively spacious room with white padding, and nothing more than a single chair in the middle of it. With many saying a player could be banned for stepping foot onto this island, the curiosity of its existence began to heighten among players, and with me being one of the many that had always hoped to visit this mysterious land, I got to work in creating a private server, and decided it was finally time to witness this place for myself. So without further ado, let's begin our journey into the unknown. Alright, you beautiful people, it looks like we found a way to GM Island, and that is through this good guy right here, Brotownia. And basically through a couple of links I was able to download a realm in which I could just automatically log into this guy's account and basically be at GM Island. So as you can see, GM Island, we are way off the map, but this is incredible. I am so excited to actually explore this place. I've never seen this in person. It was always just a myth to me, but as you can see, it's very real. As far as I'm concerned, it's been removed since. I think it's still in the classic version of WoW, but as far as the updated version and all that, they've removed this area completely. But wow, just look at this. This is crazy. So this is the infamous GM building that you see in the pictures and all that. But before we go in, I want to actually take a little stroll around the property and see what else we can find. So there's supposed to be a graveyard nearby, I'm guessing. Oh yeah, here it is. Here's the little graveyard. Yeah, just look at this view. I mean, there is literally nothing around. This is crazy. Well, let's go ahead and head inside and see what we can find, huh? Also, take a look at these attacks. Death touch. What? Who is that? Who is that in the picture? Is that a wrestler? So, walking into the GM Island building. This is pretty crazy. And so far, nothing too special. I'm really hoping to reach the fabled basement and see the padded room with the chair. That's what is really piquing my interest. This is incredible. I mean, I gotta say, the building itself is very cozy. I could definitely see myself just chilling in here as a GM. Having a seat, just chopping it up with the boys and girls. Looks like we found the top floor. And I wonder how they actually used this back in the day. I know they would teleport players here, allegedly for punishments and things like that, questioning. But would they just be sitting here? Would they bring a player up and, interrogate them essentially with 6 other GMs present? It's kind of crazy to think about. Let's see if we can find the basement, because that is what I really want to see. So, you would think it would be here. Oh wait, hold on. What was that? Oh, we're glitching. Maybe if we actually go behind the building. So far, no dice. I'm getting worried. Okay, I mean, we're at the island, so it has to be here, right? The basement has to exist. Maybe that part is an urban legend. Maybe the island exists and the basement does it, but I don't know. I refuse to believe that. Okay, guys, so after some further research, it looks like I found a command that just might work. We're gonna see. I'm not too confident that it will work, but we'll find out. Apparently, from what I can tell, the actual island is pretty much just what we've seen. It's the building, it's the trees, it's the graveyard. The basement prison area or whatever is underneath the island. Now, I'm pretty sure it's impossible to swim to the actual area. So because this was supposed to be used for punishment or whatever, allegedly, I guess you could actually only reach it by teleportation. So what I'm going to be typing in right now is a code that teleports us into the basement, if it works. So we'll find out. Okay, let's see what happens. Oh, oh my gosh. No way, dude. We're actually here. Yo, this is incredible, bro. The chair. It's the chair. Dude, this is incredible. Okay, now I never thought I would be so excited to see just a plain white room with a chair in the middle of it, but dude, this is legendary. This is history right here. So it's real. It's all real. Everything they said about this place was real. I mean, the fact that this is supposedly a prison or, you know, like an interrogation room, I don't know if that's true, but this is definitely strange, like, to include in the game files. I mean, they had to be using this for something, right? Wow, this is just honestly amazing. Now, there is one more thing I want to try real quick, and let's modify the speed. Okay, let's see what's at the top of this place. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's like an endless void. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's actually like we're locked in here. You can't get out. That's crazy, dude. Wow, yeah. I would have never found this. Well, good thing we found those coordinates. That way we were able to just like teleport in here or whatever that was. But yeah, guys, I am really stoked about this. Actually, this is really cool. This is a really big deal to me. I'm sure you guys can tell by my reaction. And once again, huge shout out to this guy, Rotownia, for setting this up to where you could just automatically log into GM Island, because that was a huge help. It's even got the Hearthstone set to it, so that's super cool. So yeah, it looks like I actually broke the game, so it's a good thing that we explored it before I destroyed the game. So yeah, let's get rolling on to the next one. The legend of GM Island is very real. When speaking on some of the greatest games found in the 6th generation, you can bet your bottom dollar that Shadow of the Colossus will have a spot in that conversation. It's one of those games that holds an incredible amount of atmosphere, and one of my favorite things about it is just how mysterious it all feels. The dialogue in game is incredibly scarce, with the only voice being that of an entity who speaks through the crevice of a temple. It's kind of up for interpretation on what is even happening in the world around you, and while there are plenty of evidence to uncover the basis of the game's story, you can't help but feel like there's always more to find. Many fans/enthusiasts of the game have dedicated their time for uncovering its many mysteries, but the fabled tale The Last Great Secret had certainly taken this curiosity to a whole new level. It all began with the post on the official PlayStation forums from a user named Ascadia. In this post, he went on to discuss the game's lead designer, Fumito Ueda, in regards to just how detailed he was in creating the game's world, stating that the inattentive gamer may be missing out on some crucial connections that could possibly lead to a hidden secret, which many speculated to be a hidden colossi. He went on in this post to explain his theory of intersecting points, in which he had observed 4 separate glyph images that could be found in 4 different areas on the map. When marking these locations down, it had formed a perfect cross, and at the intersection of this cross was what he believed to be the first clue of this great secret. When traveling to this location in game, it takes you above the sunken lake bed, the area in which you fight the 11th Colossi, Celosia. What was most intriguing about this area being a giant stone door that had prevented players from venturing further? Could the last big secret lie beyond this massive door? Well, that's exactly what Ascadia, along with hundreds of other users, had wanted to know. Which, by the way, the amount of people who had been following this thread was staggering. From biblical metaphors to conspiracy theories, the obsession of what could lie beyond the veil had begun to run rampant in the Colossus community. People began to explore every square inch of the game's world, no-clipping and exploiting their way through any little crevice they could find. Naysayers were promptly shunned, and those who believed in this strange theory had seemed to become consumed with it. While many had speculated that the game was hiding a 17th Colossus, there were plenty of other theories being strewn about, like the possibility of reaching the castle from the game Eco, which is theorized to be seen in the distance, or even uncovering the location of the mysterious entity known as Dorman. But after years of speculation and thousands of sleepless hours spent on this conquest for clarity, a forum user by the name of Pico was ready to put these rumors to rest. By emulation, he was able to glitch himself through many inaccessible areas, while finding a slew of unfinished places and endless voids. The presence of another Colossi had seemed to be absent. In fact, it was just a whole bunch of nothing. Given the previous evidence and all the hard work that the users had done in connecting the dots, it really felt as if there just had to be something more. And while I'm sure there was a huge amount of disappointment felt by the self-proclaimed secret seekers, I'm sure there had to be an equal amount of relief as well. It just goes to show how far an urban legend can spiral out of control, and I highly recommend watching Jacob Geller's video, The Decade-Long Quest for Shadow of the Colossus' Last Secret, if you want to know more. He did a phenomenal job in covering it. But as for the world of urban legends and myths in gaming, that's all we have for today. Comment down below your favorite segment, or any other myths that we should explore in future videos. I would love to continue this series, and I had a lot of fun getting to explore all these weird little nooks and crannies in gaming. But as for now, my name is Vincent, and I appreciate you all taking this journey with me. Please, take care, stay safe, and keep exploring. Hope to see you in the next one, and peace out, guys.